everyone, and welcome back to Mining Networks. I'm joined with Scott Petzel here, who is president of Metallic Minerals. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here. Lovely day in London.
It is indeed. So let's start by getting a nice overview of the company.
Well, Metallic Minerals is a precious and base metal focused exploration and development company with two key projects: our Keno Silver project in the central part of the Yukon territories, and our La Plata project, which is a porphyry copper silver gold system in southwestern Colorado.
So run me through your capital structure, so market cap, share structure, and cash in the bank.
Yeah, we've got 147 million shares out on the market. Our share price is about 26 cents right now. We've been as high as $1.20 within the last year and a half. And we've got a great investor base, including Eric Sprott and several funds. We've got no debt and about $4 million cash in the bank right now to work with.
Brilliant. And before we jump into the properties that you mentioned, let's start by talking about your leadership team and a little bit about the Metallics group, because you're part of a partnership there. What advantages are there with that?
Yeah, well, we talk about the Metallic group of companies. It's an independent collaboration between three independently traded companies, each with a different metal focus, essentially. Mm-hmm. And the advantage of us partnering is that we share resources below the CFO level. So we have shared costs for all of our technical team, and those shared resources, it really allows us to have a technical team that is similar to what a mid-tier producer might have in terms of skill sets and ability and experience, as opposed to trying to keep a high-dollar employee employed with one junior exploration company that's working to get some resources established.
So let's go to Keno Hill now. So obviously in the area, Alexco used to be there, and they got their property to feasibility, and then Hecla kind of took it over. What's the kind of idea there with you guys? Do you think Hecla would be interested before feasibility, or is that the
Well,
goal?
I think that, one of the things I've recognized, we're really excited to have Hecla in the district, because they're going to bring, they've already have brought a new energy to the district and a new recognition of what the Keno Silver District is. It's a historic producer of over 200 million ounces. Hecla now has, with the acquisition of Alexco, 120 million ounces in their resource base. And they're putting money in to develop new headings and restart mining, considering expansion of the milling operations there. And they're a great brownfields neighbor for us. The one thing that is critical that I see is that they have got to do exploration to add to their resource base, because they've got basically an 8-year mine life currently. Mm-hmm. And we know how long it takes to get a mine up and running from an exploration project. You've got to drill it, prove it out, do the economic studies, get the permitting done, do the design, construction. There's a real time involved in doing that. So they're doing exploration. They're going to be very successful at what they're doing, but they're also drilling very deep to find those resources, between 600 and 800 meters deep. We're finding mineralization within 150 meters of surface in the eastern half of the district. We're developing some of those targets to resources very soon. So the idea, at least from our perspective, of collaborating at some point with Hecla is very appealing. And it could just be that simple. It could be a bolt-on operation where we find resources, continue to do the exploration development work that we do, and Alexco gets interested in us as a company or in some of our individual assets, or we work on even a toll milling operation for another operator at some point in the district.
Talk me through a little bit about that exploration process that you guys are undergoing. So you mentioned a bit about kind of shallow drilling going on, but what is the history of that land package as well? Is there much historic drilling you can utilize?
Yeah, when we think about the eastern half of the district itself is 35 kilometers across, and the first discovery was made on the very western half of the district. As they developed over the last 100 years, they were slowly moving east and building up new discoveries and new mines, and the eastern half of the district, even though the geology is essentially the same across the district, didn't get explored because it had a very fractured land package. We've been able to consolidate what was historically over 40 different companies that held land in that district and put it into one package where we could then systematically apply exploration. It's a little more mountainous, a little more vegetatively covered, so we've got to be a little more creative than the old timers were with the discoveries they made on the western half of the district. And we're finding great success though. We're, like I said, geophysics, soil geochemistry, mapping, and really boots on the ground kind of work has allowed us to make a discovery in recent years that I think is really significant for the district. And I'll tell you what that is. I know you're dying to hear. The work we've done at our Fox target in the eastern part of the district has demonstrated what is up to 177 meter wide zone of mineralization, which is way different than the typical narrow vein, steeply dipping, 1 to 5 meter wide zones of high grade mineralization that have been mined historically and that Hecla is now pursuing. So we're finding this new broad zone of mineralization. It's wider and a little lower grade, but very shallow dipping and very amenable potentially to bulk mining opportunities. And it seems to have a very high net value in that sense. And so we're really excited about this. We think we can quickly add tons, and we've got grade that we're seeing so far that seem to be amenable to a good average open pit kind of grade that would be economic. And we're really looking to get those results out to the market here in the next month or two, so we can talk more about that and the new results from our 2020 drilling on that target. And at the same time, we're developing other resource areas that are traditional narrow vein style, high grade target areas. We've got 4 other target areas, so we're hoping to actually come to the table with resources in 2023 on up to 5 different target areas.
Brilliant. So you've got some similar geology trends there with the land package now owned by Hecla, but you've also got some new kind of outcrops, which sounds quite interesting.
No one's seen any of this type of mineralization. It's really a sheeted vein system in the district. So we're excited to
investigate,
do more work, and build this thing out and get a resource going.
So do you think there'll be a drill program next year once the results are out? What do you think?
I think we're planning on a drill program next year. We may need to go out and raise some more funds depending on the market to have as robust a program as I think we'd like to have, but that is the intention.
So we've spoken a lot about Keno Hill. Let's now jump to your La Plata property. Give me a nice overview of that and kind of where you're at with that.
Well, La Plata project is a very interesting property in southwestern Colorado. It's essentially been a forgotten district. Mineralization in the district was discovered in the late 1700s by the Spanish explorers. They found gold, silver, telluride vein systems that were very high grade, that were eventually mined by the mid-1800s through the 1940s by small operations. In the 1940s, the War Powers Act in the United States shut the mining down in that district. By the time the war was over, the majors had come in and discovered that there was a porphyry center that was deriving the district and these epithermal veins that were distal to the middle. Their work between the 50s and the 70s defined that it was an alkalic porphyry system with a potential carbonatite core, which is, I know, very technical, but it's all good stuff. So they drilled about 15,000 meters and about 50 holes. And you know how big companies are. In the old days, they had their producing operations and they had their own exploration properties, a basket of exploration properties, and they ranked those every year. And eventually this one fell off the table for Rio Tinto and Freeport, who were working in the area and fractured claim ownership. So it went fallow, essentially, and has sat for 50 years without any modern exploration occurring in the district. And so we acquired the property in 2019, and we've been applying that modern exploration, doing confirmatory work on the center part of what is known as the Allard target of the La Plata project in this porphyry center, and have come out with a new resource as of April 2022, which is nearly 1 billion pounds of copper equivalent. That includes 15 million ounces of silver. And we see that the mineralization at that target is only limited by the drilling that has been done previously. So we're looking to greatly expand that. We've drilled 2 holes in 2022 that are both nearly 1,000 meter long holes that look to be nearly continuously mineralized. We'll be coming to the market with those results in early 23, We're also excited by the fact that through the systematic application of our exploration techniques, geophysics, geochemistry, hyperspectral imagery, mapping, boots on the ground, that we've identified up to 16 new porphyry centers that have been unexplored historically because they, again, fractured land package. In the 50s and 70s, the district was awash with interested parties. Over 50 years, everybody's left. We've been able to consolidate 2/3 of the district and identify not only this Allard resource target, but 16 other potential resource targets that have not yet been drilled and are primed for discovery. So really excited about that.
Over the past 12 months as a company, tell me something you're most proud of achieving.
I think the thing is we're sticking to what we know. Our team is good at identifying value in these forgotten assets and building value through that systematic application of exploration and doing what we know in terms of how to develop resources. And so even with limited budgets, we're making great strides, making new discoveries, setting ourselves up for real success as we move forward and get new results to the market, but also get new resources to the market, new resources at Keno, but an expanded resource and new opportunities at La Plata. So staying the course throughout the market conditions, we know we're going to get to where we need to be.
Awesome. And over the next 12 months, what could investors watching be looking out for?
Yeah, we want to have those results from our 2022 drilling to the market on both our Keno and La Plata projects, that perhaps a new resource expansion announcement on our La Plata project, and perhaps a new inaugural resource announcement for our Keno Silver. But in addition, we haven't talked about it, but we have some additional alluvial royalty portfolio ground that is really one of the larger alluvial or placer mining portfolio packages in the Yukon, in the historic Klondike Gold District. And we're looking to sign on some new operators to begin a royalty stream with production in 2023. So that should be something that we'll be looking for as well.
Excellent. And then just a nice way to kind of summarize this interview. What's your vision for the company? If it could go exactly how you wanted it to, how do the next 5 years look?
We're going to create value by really continuing to do what we do, which is build resources, de-risk them through economic analysis and more drilling, and then make new discoveries and get to the point where we can't be ignored. The majors will want to have these assets. If we think about La Plata, porphyry copper district in the middle of the United States, very stable jurisdiction, in the middle of the green energy revolution where copper is going to be highly in demand. We're not miners. We don't expect to stay around to be mining this thing. So we'll be finding some new operators and hopefully making deals with those types of companies as we move forward.
Well, I look forward to following along with the story here. Thank you so much for your time today, Scott.
Thank you as well.